Charlie Dimmock,
Boys!
the Rich Brothers, and the Garden Rescue Team have a treat in store.
Too much entertainment.
They have come to the rescue of hundreds of British gardens. Now it's time to look back and pick their favourites.
This looks really cool.
Fabulous.
As they celebrate the very best.
I don't like it. I love it.
From extraordinary eco gardens
Thank you so much.
to exotic designs.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Gardens inspired by people
Is this the garden that you dreamed of?
It is.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a thumbs up.
and places.
It's the most beautiful garden I've ever been in.
Therapeutic spaces.
Wow.
And the most extraordinary transformations.
It is perfect. Welcome to Garden Rescue.
Top of the plot.
Yep.
Watch out.
Right, what are we talking about today?
My favourite today. Water features.
Oh, yeah.
I love water features, and there's so many of them. Wildlife ponds, lily ponds.
I have to admit, though, of course, are you ready to bow? The queen of water features.
Mind you two are getting better, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
There was one you did that I loved. Nick and Kath in Blackburn. That Japanesey water feature
Yeah, we
area.
enjoyed that one. Yeah, the Japanese are so good at just pulling inspiration from nature, often into small spaces, but this garden was vast, it was big, and there was a lot of stuff going into it.
Garden Rescue builds got off. First top of the plot's water feature trend. We're proud of all our transformation was for Nick and Kath's garden, which was unloved. So the Rich Brothers design focused around creating a Japanese-inspired pond, complete with a tea house.
The final destination is this tea house, and what we've done here is we've created a kind of solid back with just an open door here. So, you know, with this building as well, is that we've done it so that it overhangs slightly on the pond. So when you're sitting there, you feel that connection with the water.
Yeah.
The landscaping team's first job is to remove the old pond from the garden. But before they can get rid of the old pre-formed pond liner, any existing wildlife has to be carefully scooped out. It's down to Andy and the digger to do the heavy lifting and pull the rest of the pond up and then expand and reshape the hole. While Charlie considers the bomb crater that Andy's created, the brothers are getting excited. The boulders that are crucial to their design are on their way. And they're massive.
They're amazing. Look at them.
Have we got enough garden to fit those rocks
You wait
in?
till you see them all together. A couple on top of each other, they'll be fine. They are amazing. Big old boys, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah, we just thought it'd be nice actually bring it into the water. So the level of the water will be about here, which is just beneath the deck.
Yeah.
And then what we want to do is sink this boulder in so you don't really see the end of it. I think that'd be perfect. It's going to be glorious, isn't it?
So this is going to be a really natural pond, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a good job Andy's got his digger.
Did you hit the tree though, Andy?
Let's go down as soon as Ethan bits.
Whilst the boys play
Possible.
with rocks, Charlie lines the pond.
That's all right. It's okay. It's only the week.
And it's ready to be filled.
Gonna put the hose on, but weight it down in the bucket, so the bucket will slowly fill up and gently overflow, and hopefully it won't disturb too much of the soil.
While David installs a subframe for the tea house, Charlie cracks on with the pond's planting.
Normally you'd plant water lilies up in containers like this, baskets, but because we want this to look as natural as possible, I'm going to plant them up in a piece of hessian.
First, Charlie gets Hessian squares, adds pebbles to weigh the sack down, then adds soil and the plant itself with the crown poking out, then ties it up in a parcel.
And then it's just a case of throwing them in, and they'll sink to the bottom, and then bottom of the pond. The plants themselves can root down. It's then a crown in the soil that we've put on the base, of gently placing them in the deepest bit of the pond. And the one last thing I've got to do is put some of the wildlife back in the pond that we saved. All the frogs left, but there's 1 or 2 tadpoles in here.
There's a final push to get the Japanese tea house built and fixed into place. But it takes all the lads to assemble the roof.
Seems a really good idea to build it outside and then carry it in. I'm sure someone is going to end up straight in there.
Oh, I'm on now. You don't split. Take it back.
Oh!
Nice. All right.
And mind you, they would have been in so much trouble. I tell you now. Not one of them in the pond.
Nick and Kath's garden lacked imagination, but Harry and David's design has brought it to life with a beautiful pond, complete with a delicate tea house, where they can watch the sun go down. But will it fulfill their Japanese dream?
Please open your eyes and have a look.
Wow.
What do you think?
It's not our garden.
It's
Completely different.
In the tea house, and then so here's the new pond. Can you imagine spending some time in here?
Absolutely, yeah. The pond looks so natural as well. It's
gorgeous.
And it's quite tranquil in here, isn't
This
it?
is just.
Do you think it feels zen?
This
Yeah,
is
no,
very
it does,
much
doesn't it?
like some of the rooms in Japan. It's perfect.
Thank you, sir.
No worries.
That was one of our absolute faves. Love that garden. Now, if you want to add a touch of exotic to a pond, then this plant here will do just that. So this is Equisetum japonicum, barred horsetail. As you can see, it's extremely architectural and very exotic. So these tall, firm, hollow uprights that are barred with black, so really striking. And these are great for smaller, shallower ponds. So you want to put these in about 6 inches. You want to make sure that their roots are always moist. That's really important. And you can see already that that adds a really gorgeous look to the pond. So this is going to provide that striking upright growth. Already got this nice gnarled bit of bog root in here. This is going to be great for any wildlife that gets in or wants to get in. Could also help it crawl out as well. So that's just nicely wedged there on the side, nice and firm. Now just to have a little bit more of a leading down into the water and down sustainable ponds. It's great onto the ground on this side. Put in a little oxygenator as well. Now this is hornwort. So you just need to plonk that in. And then also, great plant to have is something that spreads across the surface of the water. Now these guys need to be in a slightly sunnier spot. So if it is lighter, you do have the risk of building up quite a lot of algae on the surface. So if you have something like this, bog bean, the roots go down into the water, and then these leaves sit on the surface. And these actually have a gorgeous flower in early summer. It's quite a good idea just maybe tangle them a little bit in there, just to try and rest it for now. It's probably a bit of a tricky thing. That is going to be really beautiful, really simple, really easy to maintain. Got a gorgeous exotic look with these horsetails, and we'll have some beautiful flowers as well. Now, water features are wonderful to look at. A great example of this is Charlie's garden, but they can be beautiful features in the garden in showroom for David and to actually journey across John. Now, they actually wanted to have their wedding reception and photos taken in the garden, so we had to make sure it looked great.
At 100 feet long, this garden had plenty of space, but it was a little boring for John and David's wedding reception. Charlie's winning design for a contemporary water feature was set to change all that.
This section here, which is a shallow pool of water, so I can see your wedding photos there.
The team's first job is to mark out where the water feature will go, but there seems to be an issue.
We've been waiting this morning for a digger to arrive, and it's not arrived yet, and you know, we just have to get on.
Kyle's drawn the short straw.
Looks like we're digging it out then.
Digging out a large area of garden is difficult enough, but when the soil has been baked hard by the sun, it's nothing short of back-breaking. But never fear, the cavalry's here.
Mamma mia! It's made all the difference with the old digger in here. It's a bit quicker.
With the pond finally dug, Chris cracks on building its walls with cement and concrete blocks. This could of course be done with bricks instead.
Is that level, Kyle? Bang on, mate. That is determining the water level, isn't it?
Yes, water does tend to be level, doesn't it? So we've got the breeze blocks in. We've got to get those stepping stones in fairly quickly because they've got to walk across it in about 6 hours' time.
Yeah, I know. We're battling the time, I know.
With time of the essence, the pond gets a layer of sand to protect the liner from any sharp stones.
You can pass if you aren't up and over. There is a...
Oh, well, that's a really good place to have a post. Oh, OK.
What gets wetter, the more that it dries.
A towel.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, dear, you geeks.
Down. Right, next person.
Fill that one up, didn't you?
Well, this is handy. Who put the water feature here? Do you know we are making a rod for our own back here? Well, because we're stopping access to the garden.
Oh,
really,
well, yeah, absolutely, I know. Nothing much we can do about that.
Who designed this garden? Stupid person. Did you get enough?
Well, it came in this size.
It only came in this size. I don't believe you.
Once the fleece is down, the liner can be put in place, and the team path. To raise and get on with the next stage of Charlie is the level of the stones so they appear to fit design. The stepping stone float, Kyle's built a platform which he can cement the paving stones onto.
Looking good. Got the stepping stones in. Basically now it's a case of trimming the liner up, which Andy's on now, because the stepping stones have got to go off more before we put water in. Then I've got these gorgeous containers, one for each end, that are going to sit on there. I think they look really modern and trendy, just like us.
With the planters done, adding a touch of floral elegance, the pond is edged in timber, which needs to be cut to the right length.
The edging is going on, we're being cut, made to measure, lovely green oak. Because I like the romance of the oak with the romance of the billowing flowers, and then you've got the modern, clean lines of the paving that brings the whole garden sort of together. Powered pumps. I'm just popping in.
John and David's sunny South Coast garden.
The 2 pumps. Solar
is ideal for a solar-powered pump.
Do you want to walk over, yeah?
No. You can walk there, there, and there, and not on those. Do not get this wrong. At your peril, sunshine.
Oh, that's like a mermaid trying to grab my ankles inside the water.
No, more like a troll. Trip, trap, who's that crossing my bridge?
Whilst everyone's busy finishing their jobs, the pond has been filling with water and the new garden is finished. It was a long, plain garden not fit for a wedding reception, but it's been transformed into this contemporary space with its centrepiece water feature. But will the happy couple fall in love with it?
Would you like to open your eyes?
Oh my God. Brilliant.
Excellent.
We're definitely going to have the reception in the garden. Absolutely gorgeous.
There's something about water in a garden, the sound of it, that really sets an atmosphere. And moving water is created by using recirculating pumps. These are all recirculating pumps. That means the water that's in the pond is just being pumped round and round. It's not a water supply to the pond. So it's very eco-friendly. And there's lots on the market now. You've got solar-powered pumps. They're great because you don't have to worry about running electric. You've got a solar panel and then the pump sits in the water and you get all the little bits in the box for a fountain or a bubble of water and a spike so that the solar panel can just be put in position to catch as much sun as possible. And there are some on the market that have a backup battery, so the panel charges the battery up, so if the sun goes in, the pump still works. Then you've got your basic water pumps like this, a tin, a T-piece, and again they all come, all the things that you need, and they knit with a kit for a foundry always have 10 metres of cable on them. And there are now what are called eco pumps, and these are bigger pumps that don't use as much electric. So they're quite easy to install both these, but you do need to get an electrician to do the joining up to your main supply. One thing I'll say, before you buy the pump, make sure you know exactly what you need, whether you want a pump for a fountain or a waterfall or a filtration system, because the size of the pump will be influenced by what you want to do. So make sure you do your homework first before making a purchase. Now, David and John's garden, their water feature was quite formal. Anne and Sean in Liphook wanted a much more natural feel.
Catched.
Our next water feature top of the plots was for Anne and Sean's somewhat rough and ready garden. The couple wanted a new space garden, which had remained unchanged for their daughter Joanne to enjoy, changed for 17 years.
She quite enjoys her nature, so if we can get more butterflies or other wildlife that Jo can take an interest in, that would be lovely.
So the Rich Brothers design focused on attracting plenty of wildlife to the garden with a large pond. And the first job for Charlie is to start digging. But already there's a change of plan.
The pond has actually ended up moving from David and Harry's original design, which it was right up in the corner there. Now, it had to move because underneath the Wendy house there was like 4 inches of concrete. So digging a pond there, not ideal. But I am really pleased that it's moved, because these overhanging trees, the sweet chestnut, having a pond right underneath wouldn't have been good. So moving it out has a positive effect, no leaves in the pond, but also means there's more sunlight for it. Ideally, when you position as a sunlight a day, in a pond, you want to make the pond balance and grow. End up with about at least 6 hours properly.
There's a huge amount of soil to remove. But Charlie's not work shy. And she's certainly doing better than Harry.
Good, Harry. Good trench digging.
Oh, criminal.
Excuse me, no moaning. Look at the size of this compared to that little trench.
It's too big, actually. Let's...
Yeah.
You played badminton in school.
Hockey, actually. Goalie.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Don't mess.
Right, come on, boys.
You need a few hands, yeah?
I do need some hands. Get this liner in. That angle that way.
Watch, don't drag it too much. I've got a bit of a rootage here. Which way, sorry? Oh, like that. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness me. Is it that point that way? You were on the wind-up, you two, aren't you?
Yeah. So when we get there.
That's it.
That's the money shot.
That's the one. Now all we've got to do is fill it.
Easy.
Yeah, buckets. I'm afraid there's no hose. How strong you're feeling?
How long? Long and thin and bendy is the bucket. Big buckets. How big is the bucket? Similar to a hose pipe?
Hopefully we've got a hose pipe.
Yeah.
And lucky for them, there is one.
Okay, Dean, you'll turn it on, mate. There we go. It's going to take quite a while to fill up, I feel.
A cup of tea there, Charlie, as well?
Yeah, I could just sit and watch it fill up. After all that digging I've done.
The pond fills up in no time with a little help from Mother Nature. And Charlie makes light work of cutting the liner to shape. The designers may not be able to control the weather, but some things can be pre-arranged. In this case, a ready-made wildflower meadow.
It's gorgeous stuff, this meadow turf, boys, I have to say.
Oh, you've got a good one there.
Yeah, look at those leucanthemums and diana.
Walking with a farm. Oh, nice.
This way, stop. Wafting it around on the edge of the pond, or naturally edge of the pond. And we've got, I mean, things like this lignus or ragged robin, that is naturally a bog plant.
Yeah, that'll thrive.
Achillea. So it's a really lovely way to edge a pond, especially a wildlife pond, because it means that things can get in and out very easily. And it's actually way easier than trying to edge it with stones or paving or something like that.
As well as encouraging wildlife, pre-grown meadow turf is a great way to inject instant colour. Just what Anne and Sean are after to brighten up their garden.
You can already see things like this oxeye daisy are really brightening up this back corner. And things like this are going to be flowering from spring to autumn, so it's going to provide your garden with loads of interest for very low maintenance.
The pond's surrounded by meadow turf, but it needs planting out too.
When it comes to planting up a pond, whether it's just a wildlife pond or whether it's an ornamental pond, there's 3 key groups of lilies normally, which cut the surface of plants. You have ones that let sunlight out, so help keep the water clear, lay on the surface of the water, so water. Oxygenators that aren't overly beautiful but do a really good job in the pond by putting oxygen in, but also they use up lots of nutrients, so help keep it clear. And then you've got what are called the emergent or the marginal plants. So they sit in the water, but their foliage comes up and out of the water. This is what it's most people call bulrushes, but they're not really. They're greater reed mace. Now the thing about them is they're really vigorous and will swamp a pond size. So I'm going to contain them a bit like you would if you're planting mint in the garden. So by putting these in a solid pot, it's going to stop the runners from coming out and taking over the pond. I've just got a bit of garden soil and we're going to jam those in there. Squishy, squishy. And then put a good layer of gravel on the top.
And some final planting done, the team have finished. With the incredible pond complete. It was an uninspiring garden, but the Rich brothers have now created a versatile space with a water feature for not only the wildlife, but Anne, Sean and Joanne to enjoy.
Open your eyes, on. 1, 2, 3. Wow.
Oh my goodness. What do you reckon, Joe?
You know what? I don't like it. I love it.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Crikey, give us a scare.
That was certainly a lovely pond, and I'm sure Joanne spends lots of time sunbathing, laying in the meadow grass, looking at all the wildlife buzzing around and swimming about.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of digging for you there, wasn't it?
It was, and I'm never going to forget it, you two. I'm telling you now.
Well, it's when you're dreaming up ideas.
Yeah, it's really important, especially for the children.
It's like that. It's really important to think of.
Do you remember in Cardiff?
Safety first. Always have that hat on.
The way I child-proofed the water feature?
Very snazzy.
It was a contemporary pond for a couple who had young children, so it had to not only look good, but also, more importantly, be safe.
The pond, or should I say the reflective pool, is looking fabulous with the slabs right the way up to the edge. But one thing that we do have to consider is Nadine and Steve have got two very, very young children. So to make it safe for them, we've got this grid system, which is great. It slots together and you can adjust the depth of it because these slide into here and you cut the pipe to the depth that you want. So what you're aiming for is 1 nail's depth of water above the grid, so it makes it safe for the children, but you can't see it and you've still got your reflective pool of water. Water in a garden, you just need to be practical.
Great tip that, Charlie.
And sensible about how you... It goes to show you can have views in it.
On a less sensible note, what about that garden we did for Andrew and Laura in Brandy Stoke?
I mean, less sensible.
Quirky.
Yeah, those watering cans, they were quirky.
You know I like my quirky water features.
Andrew and Laura's front garden was an overgrown jungle. So Charlie's daring design featured a raised bed containing a pond and bog garden with an unconventional use for some watering cans.
Thinking about all the water that you're wasting off your roof, you've got a downpipe from the roof here, from the gutter. So I want to use some watering cans that will be on posts. So one will roll into one, into the next, and into the pond. So when it rains, you'll see the water run down.
Lovely. With the garden cleared of foliage,
We've chosen to use
the team begin building the frame for the
scaffold boards to build this
raised bed.
raised pond, nature pond. Carl's doing all these interesting angle cuts, which are always quite challenging. But he's keeping his hair on it, you can't? Just about. Just about.
But it's Andy who needs to keep his hair on, as the boss is about to rock the boat.
And I'm now going to go and upset Andy, because I want to move the main feature. This lovely raised bed, lovely shape, but there we go. Because I'm thinking that space up there is sort of a dead area, so I'm thinking that we hoik this that way a bit, bring the stumpery this way, and maybe put the seat on this side.
Do you know what we did, Charlie?
What did you do?
We built it so that we could move it, because we knew that you would.
You're going to have to help us, it's quite heavy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
What? Boys, we need your muscles.
Oh, no.
Good, that's parallel perfectly.
Oh, what's the edge? What's the edge?
They were the slabs.
Anyone would...
Edge of what?
To me, do you think someone designed it so it would match? Baby Charlie.
Oh, danger.
Right, that's looking good. So if we get sand in the bottom, so basically the middle section is going to be mini pond and bog garden.
Yeah.
The other end's pretty plants.
Yeah, okay.
The base is filled with sand to get rid of any sharp edges.
Are we tipping it?
Yes, tip it.
I thought you were sort of spread that out. And then I'll go and get the liner, which I've got warming up on top of the car. You warm it up, it goes nice and stretchy.
And the liner is fitted to create a seal to contain the bog garden. It will be filled with water-loving plants. As such, the ground needs to be kept wet.
Oh, yes!
Lovely.
Yes.
Charlie is using a black bin to create the pond, which, when fed by the cascading watering cans, will keep the
Fill it up.
You get those.
surrounding soil moist.
Don't point that at me. Soon you fill up.
Right.
Did that on purpose.
No, I didn't. Would I do something like that?
You know, it's a fun day, isn't it?
Got to remember, I'll remember it's filling up.
As the pond fills, Harry tops up the bed with soil and the construction of the 2 trough planters gets underway. These will create a backdrop and act as shelves to grow a variety of plants. But with Charlie's exacting standards, positioning them is no easy task.
Right.
Where are you going? Right, let's do the bottom one first. How much have you got hanging over that way? I can't see, Chris, your beautiful body.
It's my tummy, this kid.
Can you take it towards Chris a little, putty-pur? And about Chris's, height, so level will be a wonderful thing.
So bossy.
That looks pretty good to me.
So can I actually, not being funny, can I actually see it now? It looks lovely.
Nice. Quickly, let's put it in.
Throw it in before she changes her mind.
With soil. And having cleared, it's time for Charlie to get to grips with He's the boss. Harry fills the plant pièce de resistance, the water feature.
So the concept is we've got a down pipe there around the corner which comes off the roof, and it's going to fill up one watering can and run into the next watering can to run into the next watering to run into the next watering can. So they'll sit like that. So if Laura wants to water, she's got a pre-filled watering can and off she goes, waters, and then pops it back, ready for the next downpour of rain. So much prettier than a water butt.
Each watering can will need to be positioned precisely for the water to cascade into the one below.
That one's there then.
That work all right?
We're soon going to find out, aren't we? Where's the hose? Right. For you. That's fine. We can always play with that one. Right. Next. Ideal. Looks all right, doesn't it?
If I move it around a bit like that.
No, I quite like it.
I really like it. I like the gold. It's beautiful.
Like it like that. Like that. Looks great.
With the watering cans in place, Charlie cracks on with the planting.
People think when you're trying to attract wildlife into the garden that you've got to have all natives. Natives are great, but the problem is a lot of natives are really vigorous and need a lot of space, and this is a tiny garden. So we've chosen natives that are maybe a little bit more calm. So things like lythrum, foxgloves, they're not going to take over. They will self-seed in this bog garden area, but then we've mixed it in with some fun plants. Who can't like that? Juncus effusa spiralis, spiral reed. Look at that, and it just naturally grows like that. Looks fabulous. What you will find is that over time it starts growing just straight ones. If you want to get the curl back, the best thing to do is lift it, divide it, and then
after some final planting,
get the spirals back.
Garden's finished. Andrew and Laura's front garden was an overgrown mess, but it's been transformed into a wildlife-friendly paradise, complete with its unusual watering can feature. But what will the couple think?
Would you like to open your eyes?
Oh my goodness!
Wowza. I'm not sure I should say it, Charlie, but it's so much nicer than I was expecting.
Have you been talking to the boys? Well, that water feature certainly turned out quite bespoke with the watering cans, and it's quite easy to do yourself. You just need to think about what you could use on the top of the water feature for the water to flow out of. So you've basically got a reservoir with your pump in it, and then you'll have a piece of hose that sticks onto the pump. You could use something like a pump and then run like roofing tiles to whatever feature you want, where the water runs down, and you can have several linked together. You could even use a teapot like this where you drill it and the water will come out a bit like the watering cans. Just bear in mind when you drill ceramics, you want to use a nice sharp tile drill, and it's definitely worth putting on a piece of insulating tape before you start drilling so that the drill bit doesn't slip. I mean, you get these at the charity shop, quite cheap and cheerful, so definitely worth a go. Makes it quite quirky. Or if you're feeling arty, how about using some lead, cutting some leaves? It's nice and malleable, so it's easy to sort of position. Or just a beautiful bit of bogwood drilled with the water bubbling over. Very natural effect. So a bit wacky, a bit different, which is always fun, and we've always had lots of fun with our water features. Especially the boys.
The Rich brothers in a hot tub back in, and now's the time to avert your hucknell.
Now, boys,
or eyes, if you don't want to see.
I think you've done a really sterling job today. You've worked ever so hard, so I've got a little present for you.
Oh gosh, what is it?
How did you know it's my favourite colour?
Swimmies!
Why
So
did you get extra large, Charlie? I'm more of a
You said
small.
you were going in.
I actually really like these.
Well, get in there, boy.
All right, fair enough.
You
Give me
came
5
extra
seconds.
small, you knew, didn't you?
Heads.
Start position.
You won't be laughing that much when you're in. I can smell the lavender. I feel private with the bushes. I'm overthinking about the cold.
Well done. Just to let you know, although it is a hot tub, we only filled it up this afternoon, so it's a cold tub.
Oh, did ya? Did ya?
That'll teach 3 rings. I knew you loved those shorts way more than you said.
Ah, the truth is out.
You squirreled them away, didn't you?
They come out for special occasions. Do you like them?
I think they're good. Not quite sure about the boots with it,
Oh,
though.
come on. Keep the feet warm. All right, then, Charlie, what was your favourite watery garden?
Has to be the one in Newport for Deep.
Our last top of the plot's water feature transformation was in Deep's small back garden. She wanted a tranquil space to unwind in, so Charlie's incredible design featured a 3-tiered cascading pond made with steel troughs.
And then there's going to be 3 tiers that drop down ever so gentle, so it's not going to be like Niagara Falls.
No.
Gentle, soft drops, and you'll get that soft, gentle sound of the water dropping down, which will also be great for the birds because
Landscaping teams certainly have their
the birds will come in and bathe in it.
work cut out creating this impressive and aggressive retreat.
Right, guys. This is all about the water feature by the look of it.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of digging out to do.
Hope you've had a good breakfast.
I saw him.
This is my
I
secret
saw
weapon,
him.
what I've brought today. Look
yeah.
at these guns here.
Yeah,
Look.
he's the prawn.
Yeah, and use
We're
brains.
no.
Well, the sun's
Shall we
out.
get on with it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Right.
First job is to cut into the patio to create a base for the start of the waterfall. And the boys need to check the steel troughs will fit.
Let's see if we've cut this right. Let's see if you've cut this right.
Oh, like a glove on a chicken's lip.
Oh, that was pretty ace, mate.
Charlie's chosen natural stone to surround the water feature. And it'll need to be carefully placed to achieve the right look.
So it's flush to that, and then he's going like that. So you keep that. See, you see that edge? Nice.
Straight line.
Straight line, like that, rather than it. Fine. Charlie's commissioned these lovely stainless steel troughs that we've had made up in Derbyshire. They're very expensive. They've taken quite a lot of the budget up, but they're going to have such a massive impact in the garden. Now, if we get it right, the dry stone and the crisp stainless steel should look fantastic together.
But as the team construct a stone base for the troughs and bed in a hose pipe to supply water, they encounter a problem.
Measure the total. It's only 370. So you got like you're going to have 240 water, aren't you? Yeah, that's shallow.
If they're going to fit in a waterfall cascading into the pond, they're going to have to dig deeper.
I might have to get picking, mate.
This is now
That's it, go on.
the new
Go on.
improved pond. It's not only getting smaller.
Can't get any much smaller.
We've dug it deeper.
Right.
Finally, happy with the depth, the troughs are bedded into position and the pool liner can be fitted.
It's not bad, is it?
And Charlie's happy with the progress too.
We've got this very modern feel to it, but then once we progress into the garden, it goes into the more oldie worldy. So we're using this gorgeous golden dry stone walling round it to soften the edges, and then come round here and we're going to create a lovely little meditation zone because it's quite enclosed with the planting as it is. She's got the pool of water, the sun rises up over there into the east, a nice bench, somewhere just to come and sit and relax. Andy's busy on the water feature. First things first, so Andy, I guess you want me to...
magic on it?
Yeah, it's right in the way for you to do something about that bay tree. So that's my first job.
Yeah, Charlie, if you could...
With Charlie busy pruning the big bay tree, Andy has finished positioning the pond liner and it's ready for water.
Right, I think while my pond fills up, I might go and paint the shed.
Do you know how a paintbrush works?
Well, there's a first time for everything.
I am getting a few leaves in there, but I'll get David or Harry to get in there and scoop them out.
And while the dry stone wall is built around the pond, out front, David has got an important task ahead.
Well, I've got free rein to make a little bit of sculpture within the garden. And I've got these paddle stones to create it out of. Now, Charlie loves the idea of it levitating. And obviously, with stones like this, you imagine them on beaches or the tops of mountains where people have just piled the stones on top of each other. Now, that looks lovely, but I'd love to overdo fools and tricks the eye, exaggerate this idea of balance. So the way I'm going to do that is actually create something that almost fixings into each stone and attach them together like that, so you can't, or hopefully can't, see any fixing at all.
Okay.
Yes, that's the one. It's going to take a bit of time.
And once the stones are drilled, David attaches them with screws and glue.
Is this going to work, you think, Dave?
It looks like you're having a really sort of strange arm wrestling, and you've like been there so long.
This is called mind wrestling. Mind balancing. Mind wrestling.
Am I winning?
No, never.
Right, we're going to let go on.
All right.
On what, 3?
You go first.
1, 2, 3. Oh, never in doubt.
With David's stone sculpture in place and a collective team push to get the garden finished,
Words, but we're getting there. Let's all go. Gravel's coming in, Will.
Incredible 3-tiered water feature.
Barrow zooming backwards and forward.
Feature is done, complete with its cascading water and meditative seating area. Deep's small garden was rather uninspiring, but it's been transformed into a calming place to relax in. Time for its grand unveiling.
Open your eyes.
Okay. Oh my God, what have you done this? This is really nice. Wow, this is amazing. Wow, this is beautiful, really beautiful.
How do you feel about the sound of the water?
I really love it.
What a reaction from Deep.
Yeah, I think it was mainly focused around those balancing pebbles, though.
No, come along. There was loads going on in that garden. Another one of my gardens full of lots and lots. But I don't care what anyone says. You put water in a garden and
it does. Charlie would say that.
It totally changes the whole picture.
Yeah.
Garden makes it really bub.